What's up, everybody? So today I am going to do what I told you I was going to do and do a behind the scenes video of how I actually go about creating a tool review. I'm not going to edit this video at all. You're going to see me getting up, hitting the stop button, the start button, whatever, probably making mistakes, jumping all over my words, kids making noise in the background. But I told you I was going to do this. Let's see how it turns out. Alright, so basically all I do is bring these things inside, and I mean, listen, both of these are really exciting. The rigid, the octane router, this thing here, I've been thinking about this for a long time now. And that rear handle saw, I got this thing with saws. I don't know what it is. So even though I'm really excited about this, I'm really excited about this. So the first thing I'm going to do is set that over to the side, and I'm just going to open this up. I have no idea what this looks like other than from what I've seen at the MPS. And yes, you can hear the kids outside. They're always outside around this time of day. And I just kind of do my thing. So I'm going to open up this box, and I'm going to see what's in it and basically what comes in the kit. And I already have my expectations up. I don't want to be overly excited because I don't want to be disappointed when I go to open up the box and maybe there's something I don't like about it, but at the same time I don't want to be negative right off the bat, and it doesn't matter what product I am looking at. Now, anytime I get a saw or any tool, I never look at anything online. I don't look at any Home Depot reviews. I don't look to see if there's any reviews online or other creators online, even though I might enjoy watching some of that other stuff. I don't want to be biased. I don't want to immediately focus on a negative that somebody else found. I want to make sure that everything that I state in the video is 100% my own statement. So basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it around, I'm going to open it up, I'm going to see the picture right here. Not worried about any of this information right now. I want my first impression. I don't care about the RPM. I don't care what size blade, which obviously I already know what size blade. I don't care about any of that. And yes, the kids are going back and forth. This is an all-day event. But I just want to open this up and I want to see this thing. Now at the same time when I'm opening this up, I do not want to damage this box because I don't want to have to look this information up, or sometimes these tools are so new that the information is not out there yet for it. So I want to keep this box so I can tell you the specs, right? So for example, up to 570 cuts per charge, right? And that is with the 12.0, I'm assuming. Yeah, 12.0 battery. This is coming with the 12.0 battery, I believe. Yep, right here. I'm going to tell you what it comes with. You can see right here it has a contractor bag, gives you other information on here that's very important. The 5-year warranty, the tool warranty, battery's 3-year, you might want to know that. And just all the information comes on this box. And sometimes, again, I will get these tools before they're even out, and the only information that I have is on these boxes here, and that's how I relate it to all of you. Now this is always my favorite part. Even though I've done this hundreds of times, you've seen it in the video hundreds and hundreds of times, it never gets old. It's just always the innovation that you see coming from these tool manufacturers, and just the feel of the tool for the first time that you've never held in your hand, and sometimes that somebody else has never held in their hand. Right? It could be a brand new tool that you might be the first person to ever see, and you get something like that, and it's like fine wine. Letting it breathe a little bit, the smell of the tool. But check it out. So you're getting that package right here. Got the instructions that you definitely want to hold on to these, because guess what? A lot of information is going to come from this booklet right here. Now really, I just got home from work and I know what's going to happen. Right during the best part, the wife's going to say, okay, it is time to eat. and I'm gonna have to get the kids ready, but I try to get the stuff all set out on the table so when I'm done eating I can come right out here and start playing with this. So right out the bat, I'm looking for things that I would assume are in the bag, such as a strap for the bag, the saw, which is, you know, first impression, it's a big saw, and that's what I'm looking at. When I take other things out, or the saws that I usually use, I'm comparing them right away. And I will tell you, it's pretty nice size. But it is the ring handle, and first impression of it, man, does that look pretty. I mean, that is just a beautiful looking saw, and it has nothing to do with the brand. It just, that is what I do when I look at these tools. You know, do they look good? Do they feel good? You know, but my first impression is looks, and man, it is just a sexy looking saw. And right here you got the handle, so that's one of the first things I'm looking for. So let's set that aside and let's see what else. I love digging down in the boxes, and whatever these tool companies can give you, that is what we want to see in that bag. What else are you getting here? Well, you got the Milwaukee IA blade. Let's see what's in this box. It's pretty heavy, not sure. I'm guessing it probably is the 12.0 battery that they said. And it is. So now what I will do immediately is throw this on the charger, and I want to be able to start testing this thing out before I even start shooting any video. I want to know how this thing runs. I want to know the ins and outs of this, the feel, the power, just everything. And as I'm doing that, that is what I start throwing in the video. So I am going to throw this on the charger right now. Now there's another box. Obviously it's going to be the charger, and I sit there and I say to myself, please be the supercharger, because I don't know anything about this yet. And I don't know, I guess it's probably the Rapid. It is the Rapid Charge. I was hoping it was a supercharger, but it is the Rapid Charge. And let's see what else you got. Oh, this is for your dust right here, dust collection. Okay, so what we have here is the Rapid Charge, a 12 AH battery. You got the saw blade, the dust collection piece right here, and the actual saw included with the handle for the bag. Now, right away before I even start using this and start getting this all dirty and mucked up and nasty, I want to take a couple pictures of it. I want to be able to post this on Instagram and Twitter and maybe the community page on YouTube to show you what is coming down the line. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a couple pictures and I'm going to post it on Instagram saying, hey, listen, this is what we will be showing you within the next day or two. Alright, so now that we took those pictures, I'll put those up on the Instagram page, and right off the bat, I'm sitting there saying to myself, what am I going to cut with this, you know, and, you know, can I really push this to the limits? Can I make some smooth cuts, you know, even down to what blade should I use? Should I use the Milwaukee wood frame blade? Yeah, I guess that's fine, but why don't we switch this out? You know, maybe we can make a couple cuts with this 22 tooth, but why don't we switch it out with the Diablo blade, and we can cut through some metal, we can cut through, you know, some framing nails in a 2x4, you know, really let's push this to the limits. And what are you looking for? You know, obviously you want to see that dust collection and how it spits that sawdust out the side, if it's going to do that well. You know, what about some other things here? How easy is it to change the blade? Is there a wrench on the back somewhere, you know, which I don't know yet? Is there a wrench that I can change this, an onboard storage wrench, which I'm guessing, yep, there is right here. Just found that, and that's really nice. So you can adjust that right there. Yeah, so these are all things that you look for before you even start cutting with this, because I want to know, is everything ready to go out of the box? How easy is it for you to get this thing up and running? Alright, so I just got done eating 2 giant steaks. I'm hurting, but it's 6 o'clock, and this is what time I usually shoot my video, just because the sun is about right. You know, believe it or not, the lighting, you know, if it's too bright outside, man, it just gets really hard to adjust the camera and actually see the, you know, picture that you're taking. But right now I have to look for a piece of scrap wood, or a few pieces of scrap wood. So let's see, we get some MDF over here, which I think MDF would be pretty good to show the discharge. You got some plywood over there. You got some pine over there, which you're usually going to cut anyway with the circular saw. So we got some of that. Let's go see if we can find some metal. There we go. We got some metal right here. We got some bar. You can already hear that stupid dog barking in the background. Yeah, I got some other piece of scrap wood, but that ain't gonna work because I drilled the crap out of these things. And here's where some of the issue starts. You can see that the camera lens got really bright. So one of the main things about, you know, recording this is what a pain in the butt it is to adjust the actual lighting. So let me try to zoom down a little bit here. You go this way, this way, this way. I'm just constantly fighting, you know, the different lighting. So we can't use these. We actually use this on one of the other videos, but we're gonna get rid of this here. We gotta throw this out. Let's go see if we can find some more wood. If not, we'll have to buy some. All right, here's my other stockpile, running a little low. We got a couple 2x6s. I think those will be good. We can use those. We'll cut those up, and I think I'm gonna have to run up to the deeps here in a little bit, get some wood, and maybe a little bit more metal. We do got some more metal over here though. We will use this as well. We'll probably use the Diablo blades. It's all the stuff that I got to think about and make sure that, you know, I literally put these things to the test. So got some metal over there, got some rebar over there, got some metal here. So I think we should be good for this one, and this will be great to put the nails into. So we actually got some shade over here. So I think this will probably be our best area to shoot. And you see when you come into the shade like that, works a lot better. But the camera, I'm telling you, it's the biggest thing is dealing with this camera. But okay, so I think we're good here. So we're gonna set up right here, and actually we're not really shooting today. We're just testing the saw today to make sure that it actually runs correctly and does what we need to do. But this is basically what I do for my setup. All right, so we got a couple different batteries here, and the reason why I got a couple different batteries because I know somebody's going to ask me, you know, can you use the 9.0? Obviously, yeah, but what about even the 3.0, right? The high output, how would that operate? And I try to think of these things ahead of time. So if you have a question, I can already answer it in the video. The other thing I have to do is decide what blades we're going to go with. So we got the Milwaukee blade, which Milwaukee blades are fine. I don't have any issues with Milwaukee blades. We're going to do this for the lumber just to see how it cuts. And then we are going to switch that up with the wood and metal blade. Now what a lot of people don't see is that 95% of the time when I do a saw review, I always put a new blade on, and it's usually Diablo. So sometimes I'll get comments saying, well, you use an old blade, but that's not the case. I've already tested it just once with the Diablo blade, and then when I go to shoot the actual review video, it already looks like it was used a little bit, but it's actually a brand new blade that's only been used maybe once or twice. Now, even before we put that battery in and that blade, I want to see how things operate. How smooth are things? You know, we're just going to set our depth right here. And see how well that works. I look to see how far this will actually go. Dust chute, I'll mess around with that here a little bit. The onboard storage, whether or not that's easy enough to get that in and out, and if it's going to stay. I try to notice everything, like that wire right there. I'm not sure why that's sticking out. I don't know if that's a big deal, but it does stick out a little bit. You know, what about the feel? So I am right-handed, and it feels a little bit weird with how my hand is, like so. But we'll test that out more with the actual cutting. Over here, you're on and off. This is your safety feature right here, which I like that. I don't really care for those pushing on the side and then, you know, pull the trigger. I like how you push down and go. It just seems easier to me. You know, I want to know about the bevel. You know, is this easy to do? That comes out a little too loose. And if they have positive stops. So because I've done so many saw reviews, I know pretty much what to look for and how it should be working. You do have the fence here. Just looking at all this, I want to know if this is metal, which it obviously is, but I don't think it's magnesium. I could be wrong. I will look that up, and that's what I have to do. I got to go back and look. Here's your actual blade stop. So when you go to change the blade, bevel here, does it have the positive stop? It's a little loose. It doesn't feel like it has the positive stops, which would be a little strange to me, considering that every other saw on the face of the planet has the positive stop. I don't know, it's weird. Huh. The other thing I noticed is it does hit that guard right there. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's positive stop. I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more. I'll just mess around with it. It does feel pretty smooth, but I don't like how it gets real loose like that. And it is quick. Hard to do a 45 degree. Huh. And you can, and this is actually a 50. Yeah, 50 degree. So I was going to say it felt a little weird. I'm really surprised that there's no positive stops on there. That doesn't seem right to me. Again, I'll have to look into that. But yeah, so I want to make sure it's brushless. If it's not brushless, it's the overall feel. And then I'm going to put the battery in. So basically, the entire time I'm doing this here, I'm just thinking to myself, what do the subscribers or the visitors of this page want to know about this saw? You know, changing out the blade, how easy is it? Because a lot of the time you don't want to sit here and watch me blabbing on like I'm doing now. You just want to see the blade go on, and that's it. You're ready to go. So I'll edit this stuff out, but I just want to make sure, you know, when I do this, am I doing it correctly? Is there something that I'm missing? Alright, so that looks good. Put that on there. Okay, that's it. So now that I got that blade on, I just want to put this battery, and what I'll do is I'll put the 9AH in first. And the reason why I'm charging the 12 battery, it's not that I don't have any, it's because I want to make sure that the battery that came in the kit is actually working properly. This right here has 4 bars, and I'm looking for noise right now, and I'm looking for vibration. I want to know how easy it is to pull the trigger. Tell you what, that's a smooth feeling saw. When you turn that on, it's smooth. It's really not that quiet. Now right now I'm up against that microphone, so in the editing process I'm gonna have to turn this down. If not, your ears are gonna get blasted. You know, another thing I'm looking for is how fast does that blade stop. Electronic brake, pretty quick. I'm also thinking to myself, what saw can I put this up against? The DeWalt 60 volt, right? That's the saw. The Makita 36 volt, that's the saw that I would like to put this up against. And even maybe even though it's a Sidewinder, the rigid Octane. So now basically I know what it sounds like with the 9AH. I want to pop this out real quick, and I want to try a 3AH. So I don't think we're going to have an issue. Look at that battery compartment though. It's pretty wild. Pretty big. Alright, so now we're just going to try some cutting. Something that I would do for the review video. I want to see how it does. You know, another pain in the butt is also trying to get this camera focused in. I don't like the autofocus just because, oh man, it is a freaking nightmare when you go into editing and it just gets all blurry and it focuses in, and people didn't like it, so I got rid of the autofocus and I do everything manually. I just want to make sure this isn't going anywhere. You can see this is just an old piece of 2x6 here, pine, and I'll just see how this cuts down on this, and then for the video I'll use some nicer stuff. And basically the reason for that is because, you know, people are going to say, oh, you cut through a hole, that's not right, oh, you cheat, blah 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 blah. And it is what it is. When you see it on the video, it's, you know, it is what it is. Another pain in the butt is trying to find a camera angle that's not in my way. At the same time, you guys can see when I first started out, I would say, hey, look at this drill, it's awesome, and then I would stand in front of the drill and you wouldn't even be able to see it. So I always got to make sure that my angles are close up and crisp for you to see the actual saw in action. So let's check this out. And right away, I can tell you, even though we went through some holes, I can tell you right off the bat, this thing is very powerful. Just for handling so many saws, I can tell you that feels really, really insane. But now that's just one shot, so even though it took me 10 minutes to set it up, it took me 2 seconds to cut through, and now I got to extend it. I got to find another piece because this piece is old. That's for the actual video, of course, but yeah, it's just it's constant setting up. So we'll do a couple more pieces with this, and I already know that if this goes through a 2x6 that easy, that it's going to go through plywood super easy, so I'm not even thinking about maybe setting that up. But we'll just make a couple more cuts, and then I will throw this into the neighbor's field. Now, another thing that I was looking for when I did this was how much of the sawdust was blowing out the side and hitting me in the face. Me personally, I sort of like the chutes that blow that dust down, but at the same time you're getting it in your work boots, so I look at it that way. But if you had that dust collection system here, which we'll check out, that might be a positive for you, but not everybody uses that, so that's another thing you got to keep in mind. Another pain in the butt is actual cleanup. I got all this stuff right here that now I got to throw away, and so you got to remember that too. You make a mess when you're doing this stuff. Another question I get a lot sometimes too is, well, how come you don't show these tools out on the job? You should put this in a heavy industrial setting, right? So what would your employer say if you were to bring a video camera out on the work site, especially a construction site where OSHA's crawling around, we're looking for videos, looking for people breaking regulations and basically the law, and then they fine you? I don't think your employer would like you out there in the field recording yourself using tools and then putting that out to a mass audience. So that's why I never put video from my workplace out on the internet or record things for the channel at my workplace. I just don't want to do it, and that's why I always do it at my house. It's safe. There's no regulation saying that you should have done it this way or you shouldn't do it that way. It's just a way that I like to do it. And if somebody wants to go and put that out on their channel, maybe a job site of them using the tools, that's fine, that's on them. But also remember, that is something that it can come back and bite you in the end, so you won't see it here. So that is why I do this at my house. Another giant pain in the butt is in my neighborhood. These people cut their grass like every 5 minutes. So when they see me out here talking to myself in front of the camera, well, they like to start the lawnmowers, right? And all in all, it's pretty nice. You got that quiet in the background. You got those woods in the background. Nobody really bothers you. But I do have neighbors out in the front. I live on a cul-de-sac. I live in a community here, housing development, and sometimes it's a real pain because if I'm trying to edit the videos or do something, I look like an idiot. Some of my videos I'm running around, jumping around, they think you're a little nuts. Another issue I have too is that, I keep all of these tools, right? So when you say, hey, look at the drills. Can you put this drill up against that drill, or this saw up against that saw, or what about this saw? I go back out to these tools and try to find the information and give it to you. So the neighbors see these hanging and they always want to borrow it. All right, so we're gonna go change that blade. We're gonna go with a metal blade now. But this is the summer too. It's a beautiful day outside, so this is easy for me to do this here outside, make a mess. But in the winter time, I gotta grab the lighting. I set the lighting up. Gotta make sure I don't freeze to death. But at the same time, I gotta constantly shut the heater off. outside because you can't hear the tools working with the heater on, so that's a nightmare. But now that, let me adjust my setting again here. Now that we're back out, I am going to adjust this blade, take this blade off, put a new one on, and we'll test a couple pieces of metal. And, you know, another thing that you gotta think about, you know, let me take that battery out, because not only is it for safety, right, and because you use tools that you've never used before, that you've never seen used before, you always got to be mindful, right? But that being said, if you do sometimes make a mistake and you forget to take the battery out because you're constantly thinking about the next step of what you're going to be doing, you'll always have somebody calling you out saying, oh, you know, safety first, you forgot to do this, you forgot to do that. And I really don't like this blade stop. You know, you should have done this, you should have done that. And it gets to be a pain sometimes, so you just got to be cautious of what you're doing because other people are seeing it saying, you're stupid. So now I got to throw this wood and metal blade on, and I probably got to take out the center piece because usually Diablo blades got the hole. Yep. So this adds another 5 minutes. You know, going to find my pliers, I got to take the sticker off, which isn't bad in the summertime. It should just come right off, but if you forget that sticker on there, you'll get somebody saying, oh, you forgot to take the sticker off. But yeah, let's go pop that out. You know, there's really nothing I hate more than buying a new piece of wood and just chopping it up. It just seems so wasteful to me. But that's basically what you got to do with these, is you got to get a new piece of wood. You got to get something that hasn't been used and abused, or people will call you out on it. And that's what we'll end up doing. But so now we got this blade on, we're just going to go with the Diablo blade because I really want people to see what this saw can do or what it can't do. At the end of the day, you know, do I want the tool to perform well? Yeah, absolutely. You know, is it going to, you know, be something that I can't sleep, you know, over if it doesn't? No. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if it doesn't perform well, I'm going to let you know. And you got to be honest because people will call you out if you're not. You know, I want to give it a fair chance. And it doesn't matter if it's a Milwaukee. It doesn't matter if it's a Ryobi. It doesn't matter if it's a Wensaw. I'm going to give it the best chance it has to succeed and, you know, show the potential of what these tools can do. So we got a treated 4x4. And again, this thing's just all beat up. But what I want to see is how this thing actually performs in a treated 4x4. I can't put every single thing that I do up on a video, or the video is going to be an hour long, and I don't think you want to see an hour-long video. So what I'll do is I will cut through this, right, multiple times just to see how it performs. It does got some nails in there. It does have some nails in there. But in the video, in the review, I'll sit there and say, you know, does it go through a treated 4x4? Yeah, absolutely. Or, it's probably not the best for a treated 4x4. So that's what we're going to do here. We're just going to put our battery back in. And we'll do a couple cuts. Almost all the way down. See, that one has some nails in it. So you can see it went down through that treated 4x4, no issue. I'm getting splinters all over the place. Should have got my gloves. You know, it did have a couple hole saws go through it, but at the end of the day, it's still treated wood, so it gives me an idea of where we're at with this. So now I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with this giant piece of crap right here. I don't want to leave this out there because the kids are gonna end up getting into it. So I'll cut this off and I'll throw it away. That way at least it'll be a smooth surface on the end. don't really have to worry about the kids falling into it with their eyeball. So another question I get a lot from people is, why didn't you put that up against the Makita during this video? Well, at the end of the day, the tool that I'm reviewing, it is that tool's time to shine, really. So, long story short, Makita doesn't send anything over here. They don't let anybody see anything they have. There's only certain people that they work with. So why would I put Makita, their saw, and give them a shout out in a Milwaukee video when Milwaukee's the one that sent this over there for you to check out? Now, I will do a tool duel, right? I'll usually put these tools up together, but you also got to be mindful that these companies are kind enough to send these tools out for you to see these. Without those companies doing that, you don't get to see the tools, we don't get to test the tools, and you basically have to take the tool manufacturer's word of whether or not they're good or not, right? And they're never going to tell you not. So that's why I usually don't put any other brand when I'm doing a dedicated tool review. That being said, we will do the tool duels and put them up against each other. So now we got to test out some metal, and you know, even though you might see this during a full review, I usually won't test this, something this thick, during the test process. Number one is the blades. I don't want to go through 30 different blades trying to cut through one thing just for the test, when I'm going to do it anyway for the review. The second thing is, you know, it just eats up all of my stuff, right? It just goes through everything, and then I don't have anything for the review. But that being said, this will give me a general idea of whether or not I can do this or not. And what we have now is just some hollow metal. We'll cut through it with the Diablo blade, and then we'll move it up to an 1/8 inch. And if that works, then we'll throw some heavier stuff in the review. And if not, I'll be honest with you and say it's not cutting through metal. Yeah, we're definitely not going to have an issue cutting through metal. So here's the 1/8 inch stuff, and hollow as well, but we'll see how it does. Now here's a perfect example of something I'll put in the video information wise. So the first cut I made, I was very close to the edge and I didn't realize it, just because I had people walking through the backyard and was kind of distracted. But look how thin that is. So that's about 1/8 of an inch that I cut that off, and it cut it off almost perfectly, other than this little piece right here that I could probably just chip off. But in that video, I would probably put something like, you know, I have cut things down all the way to 1/8 of an inch thick, and or make cuts 1/8 of an inch thick, and that's where I get that information. If I do something like that, which is usually by mistake, I'll put that in the video and let you know about it. So now that I've done that, I'll clean this off, I'll blow all the wood dust off, I'll take that blade out, and I'll put everything back to where it was, basically in the box, the package, making it look like, you know, I've never used it before, just because I want you to see it clean. That's why I also took a couple pictures. But I basically got to rip this down and then put it back, and then I already know what I like about the saw and what I don't like, pretty much. But I'll probably even mess around with this for another hour or even in 2 hours sometimes, just cutting through stuff to really make sure it holds up. If I am on the fence about a product and I'm just not sure, it might be days to even a week or 2 weeks of me constantly going through this, using it to cut, doing multiple projects with it, just to make sure it holds up. If I get something in my hands that feels solid, such as this saw, right, I'm pretty confident that I won't have any issues with it, and that's when I will say, if you do, you got the warranty as well. So what I'll do is I'll do probably another half an hour's worth of cutting, and I'll clean it up, I'll put it back in the box, and I will show you how I actually go through the editing process. So a lot of you know that I have the green screen, right? The effects in my video, and as you can see, Todd Revuzzo, which we do here quite often, left his mustache, his wig, his glasses, and a couple other personal items that I can't get into, but this is where he shoots his stuff here. But you know, we got the lighting over here in the basement. You know, we got a couple different lights here, a couple lights over there. So what I'll do is I'll literally stand in front of this screen here and act like an idiot, or do whatever I'm doing. I'm running for dinosaurs or doing whatever I do in my videos, and I'll edit those. Now, this is one of the hardest processes. A Todd Revuzzo, you know, you might only get a 10-minute video, but it takes me about 5 hours just to do that. You know, setting up the green screen on the desk, importing the backgrounds, acting it out, getting the people that actually participate, like Tool Girls Garage or Mark Thomas Builders is going to do, you know, Trey Jones, VCG. You take those clips, what they shoot, and we put it together. But a lot of the times, that's where the video editing takes place, and then I'll transfer that into the editing process. And if you didn't know, I am also a huge fan of the guitar. Usually to wind down, you know, I'll grab my Gibson Les Paul. It's a 1960s classic. Got my Marshall JCM 800. You know, got the 100-watt head. I got the Eddie Van Halen 5150 right there with some cabs right there. Been playing for about 30 years now. You know, 32. I started when I was 8. So like 32, 33 years. Yeah. So, but that's what I use to wind down. That's in the basement as well. And that's my second hobby. But yeah, so anyway, here is the editing area in the basement that I do all the effects with. So by now, we pretty much shot about an hour and a half worth of video. We somehow got to compress it down to around 10, 12 minutes, sometimes even lower than that, just because I don't want it to drag on too much. The more you drag on, the more people are going to go bye-bye and watch somebody else's video. But this is probably one of the most frustrating parts for me when it comes to actually conducting a tool video. In the summer, the spring, and the fall, this is where I do most of my editing. Got my laptop computer that I have plugged in, usually over here, right off of my workbench. I use the Blue Yeti mic. I love this thing. We had to upgrade. Listening to some of the older videos that I did, even up to about 3-4 months ago, I listened to that audio and say, holy crap, does this sound like crap. So the Blue Yeti, I love it. And I got to wear these so I can hear myself talking, and in the summertime they get pretty freaking hot. And basically what I do is I go into the computer. Now, without giving too much away, I basically put all of the videos that I shot on my DSLR camera, which is a Canon Rebel T6i. I transfer everything over to this computer here, then I transfer it into my editing software. Now, the biggest problem with the editing software is it's not that it's hard to use, it's just a little time consuming. Once I drag everything in, I have to edit each clip, because if not, you'd see me going back to my camera all the time, shutting it off, turning it back on, walking over here, doing something, going back over, shutting it off. It would get a little tedious. So I bring all of that in, cut it down, see how many minutes I have left, and then I basically have to talk over the whole video. Now, before I started doing this, I used to use a cell phone. I would just hold a cell phone up. It was really hard to do. If I'm trying to cut with that saw out there and I got a cell phone right there, number one, it's not very safe. Number two, it's a pain. So we went out, got this camera here, got the Blue Yeti mic. It's actually black. Got the headphones, plug that right in here. This goes right into the computer. Simple, easy peasy. Transfer those videos over, and it basically goes like this. What's going on, YouTube? So today we're taking a look at the all-new Milwaukee M18 Fuel rear handle saw. What's going on, YouTube? So today we're taking a look at the all-new Milwaukee M18 Fuel rear handle saw. So here's why the editing process is such a pain in the butt for me. Number one, I got noises everywhere, and this microphone, even though I can adjust it to pick up only my voice, still picks up everything. If I got a dog barking, if I got somebody that's mowing the grass, which is every single day, all day, 24/7, I swear they cut it in the wintertime. it goes into the microphone, overdubs on top of the editing process, and I gotta basically start that clip all over again, shut it down, erase what I just said, and then try to do it. I'll shut the door, you know, I have the kids yelling out in the background, I'll have other kids yelling out in the background, dogs barking over there. It really gets to be irritating sometimes. Even if I go down into the shed, sometimes it's too hot. I can't turn the air conditioner on, which I do have one down there, because you'll hear that. So I basically got to have it as quiet as I possibly can. If I shut the doors too much, well, you get echo, and that's never a good thing. And if I go in the house while I annoy the wife, that's never good. So sometimes I get people ask me, why do you put music in the background? I really wish you wouldn't put that music in the background. And sometimes, yeah, it could be a little bit loud, but that's because I got new software or I'm trying to adjust something and maybe it just didn't adjust right. But the reason I always put music in the background is because, number one, it helps me concentrate a little bit about what I'm talking about. If I just have silence, I start tripping over my own words. I'm from Pittsburgh, I got the Pittsburghese accent, and it doesn't help. Now you can see I got my boy coming out here. Yeah, he's pretty much slamming the door. And now, basically, if I was doing that video, I would have to start all over again. But yeah, the music breaks up the monotony of just hearing myself, right? Which I'm sure you love. But I can't concentrate without some music in the background. So that's number one. Number two is if you just have that plain talking, you know, you hear everything in the background. Sometimes the transitions between clips sound a little bit weird, and that music helps blur that out a little bit. So sometimes I will put, well, most of the time I will put generic music in the background very faintly, just so you don't hear all of the wreck that is transferring between clips. So all in all, depending on how the tool works, you're probably looking about 2 to 3 hours generally of testing that tool. Whether it's a saw, whether it's a hammer, it doesn't matter. Right? All right, maybe not 3 hours for a hammer, but you get the point. You definitely want to make sure that it does what it's supposed to do. Sometimes if I post something on Instagram saying, hey all, we have a tool coming out tomorrow, look for the review, and it doesn't show up for about 4 more days, that's because I'm sort of iffy on that brand or that tool, and I might want to push that testing out a little bit further to make sure that it's actually going to live up to what I'm saying. But in general, it usually takes about 3 hours to shoot a video, the tool in action basically, that's not a plug, and put it on film. It takes about another hour to an hour and a half to get that over to the computer, edit it all out, get the titles up, and maybe an extra hour just to talk over top of it. So yeah, it takes a few hours to do this, and it's basically a full-time job after I'm done working at the full-time job. But what keeps me going is I get to see a lot of the coolest stuff before a lot of other people do, and I'm able to bring that information to you. And another nice thing about it is I get to interact with a lot of you. You know, I even talk to a lot of you on the phone, right? You guys are actually personal friends. So that's a big component of this as well. But I wanted to show you a little bit of the behind the scenes of what we do on this channel, how I go about getting the box from the porch to testing it to actually shooting a review. So after what we already did today, the full review will probably be shot tomorrow, and I will show you basically all the stuff that I already did plus more. I'll push it even more during that review process, and I'll put it out to you. And all in all, it takes quite a few amount of hours to get it done, but at the end of the day, it's also very fun and very rewarding. So I hope you like this. I hope you sort of see what this channel does anyway when it comes to all the stuff behind the scenes. And if you like this video, don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe. Check us out on the Instagram page. We'll be back with more reviews soon.